The Cleveland Browns quarterback situation has really been a thing going on for 2 decades now, and this offseason has been no different. Really the only set thing in place right now is that the Browns brought in Kenny Pickett, but he's only a QB3 or at max a backup, so there is still a huge question mark about who will actually be behind center running the show in 2025, because we know it's not going to be Deshuan Watson. That time has come and gone. It was a brutally failed experiment, but over the last week or so I have heard talks about trading for Joe Milton. Obviously the draft and Shedeur Sanders is a huge topic. There still, believe it or not, unfortunately, are Kirk Cousins talks. In this video, I just want to talk everything Browns because it's that time of year. Things are really starting to heat up. The new stadium outline was dropped again. Let's get into it. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so starting off with Joe Milton, I can't believe I am saying this, but there actually are rumors swirling around right now, and I would be super happy if the Browns could manage to get him. Former Browns QB Brian Hoyer recently said, "I would take Joe Milton over any of the QBs in the draft." Now that is quite the statement. But if the Browns do plan on taking either Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward with the second pick of the draft, I do not think at all that it would be a bad idea to get Milton and roll him out there day one to give Sanders time to sit back and experience what the NFL is like and learn. And the Browns cannot make the mistake of drafting a guy and immediately throwing him out there. It's the Browns. It's not going to turn out like Jaden Daniels. I'd honestly right now rather see Kenny Pickett out there for the first 3 or 4 games of the season before Sanders comes in. Looking at some Joe Milton stats, he of course played in that Bills game and had 241 yards with an over 75% completion percentage. He had a touchdown and had an 111 rating. To put that in perspective, Deshuan Watson had a 79 rating, and his QBRs were like below 40. It was ridiculously bad, almost historical. And Milton is only 25 years old. He's still young, and he is still looking for that one opportunity. But ultimately, Joe Milton is just a bandage to stop the bleeding if the Browns got him. But now let's talk about the actual future of the franchise, which lies with that second overall pick. And right now, I think there are 2 directions that you could go if you're Andrew Berry and the front office and the Haslams. The Browns could draft Abdul Carter, even with his potential surgery, to form what could be the second best, if not the best, defensive line in the league. Or they could take a gamble and potentially look to try to solve their long and cursed QB problem by taking Ward or Shedeur right now. And I think there are pros and cons to both. I think with the way the league is headed, you want to score points, and Abdul Carter does not put up points on the board. But at the same time, the Eagles won a Super Bowl with a dominant defensive line led by the upcoming superstar of Jalen Carter. So it's not like building up an elite defensive line is ever a bad thing. And if the Browns did build up that elite D-line and had a Kirk Cousins or a Joe Milton under center, obviously this would be a 4 or 5 win team again. Hopefully they would not be a 6 or 7. And then in next year's draft, they could go get Arch Manning. But that is the only problem. What if the Browns drafted Carter and they won 7 games? They would not be able to get Manning in that case because their pick would be in around the 8 to 10 range. And the Browns have that top pick right now. Next year is no guarantee, and that is why they should go ahead and take Sanders right now. And along with that, if you're Andrew Berry, you can still make a Joe Milton trade. And in terms of the comparison of Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, this has been my stance since the beginning. I think Shedeur has a higher ceiling and a lower floor. He is definitely the bigger risk, but I think Ward has the higher floor and the lower ceiling. But both can be generational talents if developed the right way and put in the right situation. There is no denying that. And Mel Kiper didn't shy away from saying his opinion about Shedeur and how good he is on first take.
Okay, so Mel, tell me this. Who do you project will be the better NFL quarterback? Is it Cam or Shedeur?
I'm going to go Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to be steadfast in that. I've had him number 1, QB1 all along, really since last year, and love everything about the kid. I mean, if people say, well, he takes too many sacks. Yes, he has to get the ball out a tick faster, but he dealt with NFL conditions. Shannon, Stephen A., we talked about that. Who had to deal with what you're going to deal with in the NFL, what you're going to have to survive in the NFL. He survived hit after hit. How he did it, I don't know. He was 11 of 13 games this year at 70% or higher. He never completed less than 60% of his passes in a game. And in 2023, when he was getting pounded and getting sacked and getting hit time after time, he was at 69% and change with 27 touchdowns, 3 picks, 4 rushing touchdowns. That's 31-3 touchdown interception ratio. So to me, when you look at Shedeur, accuracy, slip and slide in the pocket. Yes, he can get you a 3rd and 8 first down. People say, well, he's going to run the 4.8s. Patrick Mahomes ran 4.8, 4.84. Doesn't have an explosive arm. Neither did Johnny Unitas, Peyton Manning. Okay, we talk about explosive arms. You don't need to have that. Tom Brady, another one, didn't have the explosive arm or explosive legs at 5'2", 440. So you can win in the NFL, win big in the NFL, going about your business like Shedeur Sanders does. And that's why I have a problem with all these people say he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. He's good enough in all areas, and he has the mindset to be great.
So yeah, that's pretty much the write-up on Shedeur. He's confident. Some have even said he's too confident and arrogant. But nonetheless, as a Browns fan myself, I would not be mad at all if the Browns selected Shedeur, because we have nothing to lose. This is already a failed franchise. If things don't work out, then it's like, whatever. They should just disband the franchise anyways. So who cares? Take Shedeur, take the risk, give him some weapons, and see what happens. But anyways, moving on, now to talk about the more safe routes. Kirk Cousins has been linked to the Browns a lot over the past few weeks, and he obviously has that Kevin Stefanski connection. If the Browns were to go get Cousins, the Falcons would likely have to retain some of his salary to make a deal possible. The Falcons kept Cousins on the roster through Saturday, meaning they had to pay him an additional roster bonus. That made it clear that the Falcons have no plans to release him, which undoubtedly would have been the preferred outcome if you're a Browns fan, or of course if you're the Browns front office. The move all but locks in Cousins' $40 million cap hit for 2025. That is a hefty sum of money for a player who struggled last season and turns 37 in August. Before Atlanta paid out Cousins' bonus, the Browns really were strongly linked to him as a stopgap veteran option who could have started for this team in 2025. Cleveland has already traded for Kenny Pickett, but like I said, very few see him as a viable option to start. Cousins has 3 years left of a 4-year deal. He signed an $180 million contract with the Falcons. He threw for 3,508 yards with 18 touchdowns and a league worst 18 interceptions in 14 starts last season. That is just not going to cut it. But now for Joe Milton, the Patriots are exploring trade options for him following his impressive performance in Week 18. While some speculation suggests an asking price of a 3rd or 4th round pick, uncertainty remains about the Browns' serious interest, especially after their recent addition of Kenny Pickett, which to me obviously doesn't move the needle at all. I mean, how could you like Kenny Pickett as a Browns fan? He was a Steeler for so long, I think we just naturally hate him, but hey, maybe he can come in and surprise some people and do some good things, but I just don't see it. In terms of the numbers, Milton threw for 241 yards and 1 touchdown in his only start against the Bills, and at Tennessee he threw for over 4,000 yards. The Patriots may consider leveraging Milton's strong performance to secure a valuable pick. Negotiations could hinge on future potential, making it imperative for both parties to evaluate Milton's readiness for a bigger role. The upcoming draft could also influence the urgency for any interested teams, not just the Browns. But if you're the Browns and if the asking price is only a 4th round pick, I say you pull the trigger, but I am very curious to hear what you guys think. As for the Browns as a whole, 2025 is just going to be weird, man, because there was a lot of roster turnover, but they just signed Myles Garrett to a huge extension, which at the time made him the highest non-paid QB in NFL history. We still don't know what's going to happen with Nick Chubb. Obviously, if you're a diehard Browns fan, you want him back, but I just don't think he's as explosive ever since that injury, and it is a business. So maybe the Browns can wait till like the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round and get like a Travion Henderson or a Judkins. They definitely need something else because Chubb can't be the number 1 running back. That's not going to work. And if the Browns are going to draft a QB, you need to give him some weapons in the backfield behind him. That's really all I have to say for this video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you'd like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.